Gesundheit.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Crit and Crit. I am Axion.
I'm concerned.
And we are playing Eversion. And reading The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yay!
So, this is going to be an interesting one. I am a longtime fan of Lovecraft's work. Maybe not everything about Lovecraft himself, but I like most of his stories. Scint, on the other hand, is very much not.
That is correct. I just have never been able to get into his stories. It could be the writing style, it could just be I don't really go for horror very much. But for whatever reason, I've just never been able to get why everybody else seems to like them so much.
And that's just how it is. We don't always see eye to eye on everything, so there is going to be stories that one or the other of us enjoys. I don't know why it does that. Probably some issue with the controls. Anyway.
No. So yeah, we're gonna be kind of taking the reverse of the last series we were on, where I knew far too much random trivia and could talk endlessly about the franchise in question, to one where I barely retain any information whatsoever and am relying entirely on Axion take the wheel.
Yep, and I will be happy to do so. I can spend hours going on and on about Cthulhu and Lovecraft in general. But I'll try to keep
as our D&D group has discovered routinely.
But we'll try and keep things to a structured system, much like we usually do here on the show. I need to find where the next version spot is. Is it there? It is!
You know, things are getting bleaker. You might say you're almost turning things into a number of shades of gray.
Not that many. Anyway. Oh, I can go in there. Okay, cool. So, before we get into the plot as it is, we do want to discuss a little bit just how the mythos and the idea of cosmic horror in general is implemented and kind of has become a part of pop culture.
Yep, because I think everybody, to some extent, has at least heard the name Cthulhu, even if they've never read his eponymous call, and, well, for better or for worse, we all know about the whole, like, cosmic horror stuff. Elder gods, things which man was not meant to know. And some of us also know that the best thing to come out of the Lovecraft mythos was the saga of Old Man Henderson, the Call of Cthulhu game. If you have not been made familiar with the saga of Old Man Henderson, do yourself a favor, it's a trip.
It is a wonderful story. The man who won Call of Cthulhu. A game which is... I am not very good at making some of these jumps. It's a lot easier if I remember I can bounce off dudes. What is that?
I have no idea. It's been a long time since I've looked at Eversion. Looks like a glowing V.
I may have to die on purpose just to be able to get back up there.
Watch the V be gone.
I really hope it isn't. I was not aware that there was a secret there. Oh, there it is. Okay, I don't know what that did.
It lets you spell victory? I don't know. Anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does want me to spell something else. Anyway, how else have you experienced, with your less direct exposure to the Cthulhu mythos, how else have you, been made aware of this sort of thing in your experiences?
Honestly, largely in the form of parody. You're familiar with the Sam and Max games, right?
Yep.
They had a bit of a pastiche of it, I believe, with trying to stop the summoning of Charlie Hotep and other such creatures, where it was very clearly tongue-in-cheek and a joke, but
right.
Obviously based on some of the eldritch creations that Lovecraft put to paper. I remember playing through a Steam game called Cthulhu Saves the World. I remember almost nothing else about it, but it was weird.
I have that game, actually. We might play it sometime. It's very silly.
Probably should have thought to play it with Call of Cthulhu, honestly, but...
mostly because Call of Cthulhu is a fairly short story, and Cthulhu Saves the World is a long RPG. Whereas Eversion
I don't remember it being that long.
It's longer than Eversion. Either way. But yeah. It's not hugely... It's not like Final Fantasy long.
Few things are. You're trapped now forever.
Oh well, I have all the gems I need. I can just go.
Happy music!
Yep. Oh, well.
But yeah, otherwise it's mostly just through people making jokes about it of a game crashes due to a glitch, people will start typing the Cthulhu relay gibberish that you started at the beginning of this episode. People just start using the Zalgo text generator, which is far more fun than it has any right to be, to do that kind of thing. Let's see. Lots of ways to avert. Can you break the brick?
I think I might be able to now. Nope.
Nope. You ever think the little Eversion guy feels like he's on a major trip with all the averting he has to do?
I mean... Is he not?
You know what I mean. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, like, I honestly, outside of... Oh, you missed a couple of face blocks down there. Okay. But, like, other than, like, actually reading a handful of short stories on your recommendation, I really don't know that much about the Lovecraft mythos beyond that. So, yeah, I'm really flying blind here. I know a little bit, but nowhere near the extent to which I could tell you way too much trivia about Harry Potter.
Yep, and that's fair. There's going to be stories that are going to be more my thing and some that are more yours.
And unfortunately, most of the stuff I remember about the Lovecraft mythos is not to do with the monsters. It's more to do with the awkward.
Awkward in what way?
Lovecraft is not someone I would like to share a neighborhood with.
Yep, and that is, yeah, that is a thing, and that is completely fair. Lovecraft is a, he was a character...
Unusual person.
He was a character, and not necessarily in the good way, and oh!
You missed some gems.
Yeah, I did, because I didn't remember that that was gonna happen.
I think you're gonna be getting a second chance at them.
So yeah, hi, evil, cloud of blackness and doom.
I think you have to wait for the eyeball guy above you to go into the alcove. One more. Because then he won't impede you from jumping up there.
Oh, good point. Right, we've kind of lost track a little bit. That is still a little loud.
Why didn't you... Never mind. I should probably stop backseat playing.
I normally don't.
Yeah, I don't really know what else.
Or two, but
yeah, you can break those bricks.
Yeah, I know, but I can't. I have to find the right way to break them so that I can get up there. Anyway, so as you said, you haven't had a huge amount of exposure to Lovecraftian concepts in general.
I mean, I have, like, I'm aware of them. Like, there are so many gems down there, it looks like. There's little face blocks.
But not nearly as much as, like, I have, basically.
Yeah. Like, I've mentioned to you a couple of stories that I vaguely remember the detail from, and you could instantly point out the title. But I was like, oh yeah, I guess, because the titles all kind of run together. The insert name horror.
Yeah, there are a lot of stories, and a lot of them are very generically titled. And for all I love Lovecraft, he was really bad about those kinds of, repetitive themes in some of his linguistics.
Yep. So, how else have you seen it pop up in pop culture? Because, like, the only... I can think of another thing, but I've kind of blattered on a lot, and this is kind of your, little run.
The main other place that I've run into Lovecraft stuff is D&D.
That's actually what I was going to say.
Especially Pathfinder. Pathfinder was something that, for those who might not be familiar, Pathfinder is a sort of spin-off of Dungeons & Dragons that was made by Paizo Corporation, who used to do things for Wizards of the Coast. Then they broke off and went off to do their own thing.
Okay, I think you're supposed to spell Eversion, because you've got a V and an E, yep. So there might be one we missed earlier.
Maybe. We might have to go back for them. Anyway. Alright, time to outrun the evil smoke.
Not sure how well it's working.
And, I have a few other places that I've seen Lovecraft in.
Why did you go down there?
Because I wanted to see if there was an Eversion point that would lead to a secret or something.
Ah.
Hey, back to Happy World. Not back to Happy World.
High five!
To continue my earlier comment, Paizo did a lot of work with, various groups that have done things with the Cthulhu property, primarily, Chaosium, the company that does the Call of Cthulhu RPG, tabletop game, and got their permission to use a lot of their stuff in some of their adventures. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, like, I know a little bit of that just from the Pathfinder stuff. You know, I never actually picked, like, the Dark Tapestry mystery when I've made my Oracle or anything, but I am familiar with it being there and just the concept of something that is too vast for mortal minds to understand, drives most people who interact with it insane, which also is represented in old school D&D, by which I mean, like, just Wizards of the Coast stuff with the Far Realm and aberrations thereof. So, just from playing that, I have a base idea of...
I am really bad with the hands!
Yeah, but it's the idea of that the more you learn about something, the more you are imperiled by it.
Yep.
Which is kind of runs counter to most things you would see in video games, and it's... Well, yes, it's, like, it runs very counter to the kind of normal human behavior, which honestly makes me wonder why people decided that we need to put this sort of thing in Dungeons & Dragons, which is very much about learn what you can about this great threat and overcome the odds, be like the David versus Goliath hero, which, in the little I can recall of what I've read about Lovecraft stuff, the thing that stands out is the hopelessness of even trying to stand up to this sort of creature.
Yeah, Lovecraft often kind of falls into the trope of or much of his writing, rather, falls into the trope of, well, one, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and two, okay, no hands here. And two,
the universe hates you and there's nothing you can do about it?
It's not that the universe hates you, it's that the universe is oblivious to and indifferent of your existence. So, it's not so much that the universe hates you, it's that the universe does not recognize that you exist beyond you are another cog in the general machine of nature and things going about their lives, killing and eating each other's fruit so they survive, and you have no real purpose or value beyond that.
Maybe underneath that row? They just like to hide Eversion points on the ground, I've noticed a lot, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, so it's... I don't know why, like, stuff like that is so popular with, like, because there definitely is a huge following for people who enjoy, like, Lovecraftian horror. Though, I don't really get why, especially considering just... I've seen so many times of, movies will change stories because test audiences do not like this sort of, nothing matters, they want a happy ending. So I just find it curious that, like, there are so many voices of support for the genre.
Well, the funny thing about that is that
there's one on the ground there.
There it is. Okay, yeah, I knew there was one more. So much of a lot of things that do adapt Lovecraft, things like D&D or Pathfinder, don't adapt the hopelessness or desperation of it. So you end up with the types of creatures that Lovecraft used in his stories of horrifying and unfathomable beings, the knowledge
like what happened to those blocks right there.
Yeah, and the very knowledge of which will destroy your mind. And then I was not expecting the blood explosion.
See, that I remembered.
You have all these things that will just destroy your consciousness just from knowing about them. And then we go and we beat them up with swords and magic.
Yeah, they don't seem to work very well in tandem. So, yeah, I don't really know, like, do people actually like the Lovecraftian horror, or do they just like, this is a cool monster? So... I
think there's a mix of both. There is definitely a sort of sense of people liking the aesthetics of Lovecraft without necessarily liking the full functionalities.
Which I can kind of see. Like, there are many things where it's like, yes, this is a very cool look and I want to take this from it, but doing so and focusing on that kind of misses the entire point of the work they're looking at. I bring this up because Raise your hand if you know a high school that held a Great Gatsby-themed prom.
My hand is not raised, for the curious.
I mean, like, mine isn't either, but every year, it and Roaring Twenties come up on possible prom-themed lists, at least from what I've heard from overhearing just the kids talking about it. It hasn't won since I've been there, but it always gets suggested, and I know there are plenty of schools that do it. We're gonna have to do Great Gatsby at some point, so I can just get this out of my system, but...
Which is fair.
There are many reasons that shows that the point has been missed, much like with let's adapt Lovecraft into a beat-em-up game.
Yep, and to be fair, I did not read Gatsby in school, so that might be one reason why I did not experience that particular suggestion at any of the prom events that I was ever associated with.
Could be. But I'm not really sure there's much else to say with our experience with the pop cultural osmosis of Lovecraft, and we might as well just get into the story. Mother!
On that,
that's a good note to end on.
Ending, we will continue with a walkthrough of the plot of Call of Cthulhu and more Eversion next time.
Or will we?